That's right, it's time for Labor Day. Well, good morning, my friends. Your old pal Jordan the Lion. We're taking Jaw out for a walk, and then we're gonna head over to Cinecon Day 2, first full day, and I believe we're in for a treat today because I think Eva Marie Saint is gonna be there doing a Q&A today. You might know her from On the Waterfront. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. And I know people wanna see that guy. Now, so far as Cinecon goes, for my first experience yesterday, I loved it. Getting to meet Anne Robinson, and they had a few kind of classic celebrities there, was really cool. And the restoration they've done of the movies is just fantastic. I'm really excited because during this festival, like I mentioned yesterday, they're going to be showing a Jean Harlow movie, they're going to be showing a Boris Karloff movie, a lot of great films, and since they're all restored, this is going to be a whole new experience. Well, I just took a lift down here to Hollywood and Highland, and it's time for the Cinecon for today. It's going to be really great to get to hear her speak today. Hello again, Egyptian. Well, it's quite a bit tamer here in this courtyard today. So I didn't make it for the first two movies. One was like a sing-along picture that was only 10 minutes. But what I am coming for first is they're showing a movie starring Colleen Moore, who is a really famous silent movie star. And I've never, to my knowledge, actually seen one of her films. So I said, you know, I gotta see one. And I think they're actually showing two of her pictures during this festival, so should be fun. I just love the way they honored her last night, showing her movie with Clara Bow. That was so great.
Thank you. You're welcome. But that is, you two certainly surprised.
Since we had a little bit of extra time before the movie starts, I decided to come out in the courtyard, since it's a little bit more tame than it was last night, and see if there was anything I missed. And I didn't see this, but now I do. Blues Brothers tribute to Aretha Franklin. Kind of a cool little addition. So this is what we're about to see. Little Orphan Annie, starring Colleen Moore and Thomas Sanstici.
I'm the guy who restored it. My name is Eric Grayson, so you can boo now. This has been a real challenge. The film was a complete disaster. Library of Congress was kind enough to let me preserve this by myself, which is something that we couldn't do 5 or 10 years ago. I couldn't have done 5 or 10 years ago, but I can do it now. And it ended up coming from 5 different prints. It was a disaster. You'll find that sometimes the contrast and the brightness change. And I did the best I could to match them, but yeah, so that being said, I have a quick question for you. How many people have seen this on the Grapevine DVD? Okay, good, not too many. I think it's terrible. I don't want to trash Grapevine because they do good work, but the movie's out of sequence and it's a dupe and it looks really bad. So I've had to compete with Grapevine's DVD because everybody says, well, I've seen this movie and it's not very good and it's on Grapevine's DVD. This movie is 5 minutes longer. It's actually got some quality to it. You can see some shadows in it once in a while. And it's in the right sequence. Okay, so all those speak in its favor. In addition, I have to tell you that I'm really grateful to Cinecon for letting me do this. And the reason is that I am a marketing genius. That means to you just how good I am at this. Someone asked me, or I asked all my friends, I should say, well, how should I market this? How should I get this across? And they said, well, if you want the preservation community to take you seriously, this has to be off on film. And I said, okay. And then when I did this, and by the way, we're going to see this on 35 today because I did put it on film. Film gets applause. Now, they also said, in order to get any fundraising, you have to put it on video, you have to have it on Blu-ray. And I said, okay, fine, I can put it on Blu-ray. Now, what that means is that I have created a marketing conundrum. And that is that none of the conventions, except Cinecon, thank you, wanted to put this out because they said, well, it's on video, so it's contaminated. Sometimes they've actually used that word. And now nobody wants to see the film because they've all seen the release that's come out on the grapevine. And so, and either that or they haven't seen it at all, so they assume it's not any good. So nobody buys the disc, and nobody runs the film, so nobody can see the film that's actually pretty good. So I'm kind of sitting on a bunch of discs, so if you'd help me out at the end of this, I'd love if you buy a couple, please. All right, that being said, thank you. Thank you for coming. This is really cool. This is a great event for me. And Scott Lasky is playing this. He's doing more work than I am. So I'll shut up and I'll see you in the lobby in about 60 minutes.
So I popped in home to get him because he's going to go over to Pollyanna's for the rest of the day and play with Pollyanna and Maverick while I'm at the rest of Cinecon. Is that okay with you? You want to go over to Pollyanna's? That's one heck of a yes. Well, look at the two buddies hanging out. Hi! And there's Maverick over there hanging out.
Some baby, are you getting a tan bath?
Alright, let's go back to the festival. Alright, we're back. I kind of figure there'll be more people for this movie, so what's coming up next is the Eva Marie Saint movie, and afterwards she'll be doing the little discussion. So actually, first we're going to be seeing a few Hal Roach shorts, and then we're going to be watching That Certain Feeling, Eva Marie Saint and Bob Hope. So let's go in and find our seat.
This afternoon, which many of you know, and her name is Eva Marie Saint. We are thrilled to have her here with us. She's very excited because we're going to be showing sort of a rare film. That Certain Feeling is not on home video. It hasn't run on TV for a long time. We're lucky that we were able to get a print from Paramount. I want to thank Jim Harwood for his hard work on that, and all the folks at Paramount Pictures. It's a really fun film. I think you're going to love it. Before we see the film, we're going to chat with Eva Marie Saint, and we're going to bring her up right now. And we're also going to bring up Larry Marish, who's a friend and film historian, who's going to do the Q&A with her. And then we'll be giving her her Cinecon Legacy Award. So let's do a warm Cinecon welcome for Eva Marie Saint.
That Certain Feeling. You're the only one. One, two. Anyone else?
Here, we'll have you.
No, my voice is strong. That's it. Well, I was going to say you're in for a treat. I don't know. But I'll tell you about it. Oh, this is on.
I want love.
Yes, you're on.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. So now this was your first picture, After on the Waterfront, which you won an Academy Award for. You returned to television until you did That Certain Feeling in 1955.
Louder.
Is there any difference in the way you prepare to make a television movie, a television show, or a motion picture?
Well, when I was doing television, that was in the 50s in New York, in the late 40s, and it was live. And that is an incredible experience because it's like doing a play, because you can't go back. That is live. What you're doing, what you're saying, you can't go back and say, let's do that again. So I had some terrible stories to tell, but I don't have the time because you don't have it down there. Should I tell one?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to tell one. Did any of you ever listen to the radio One Man's Family?
Yeah.
Well, there was a series. Oh, you saw it? Do you want to stand up and talk about it? How good I was? It was One Man's Family, and it was live. And it was about a family. They were always had problems. But I played Claudia. And one day, I was on the set. I was in a pool with a bathing suit, talking to my father-in-law. And there was a noise, and I didn't know what it was, but you learn that if there's any noise in the studio, just ignore it and continue what you are doing. So I didn't look to see what was wrong. But finally I thought something is wrong. And I looked over, and the first man there was going like this, lit like this, and I was in a pool in a bathing suit, and I realized that, well, was being shown from coast to coast. So what I did is, I didn't panic, I just went down in the water like this. Well, that's scary anyway. It makes you stronger though, because terrible things happen in live television, as things happen in life. And you can't go back, and there's the screen, and can I tell one more?
Yeah.
So another one, which was on One Man's Family again. Oh, that's right. I was on an airplane with my father, I think it was, on an airplane. And we were having a scene. Now, maybe some of you saw this. We were having a scene on the airplane. I was next to the window. And the actor, I finished what I had to say to him. It was about marrying and the wedding and all of that. And so I was finished with my dialogue. He started to talk, and then in the middle of the scene, he looked at me, the camera's rolling, and he said, "Jesus Christ, I've blown the scene." I said, "Father Roberts, I think I'll take a nap." They went to, yes, a soap commercial. And then we had to finish, and I kept talking to my actor friend. I said, "Nobody noticed. Nobody. You know, you have to get on track, and this is what you're supposed to say." And I got him on track. And he finished, and it was okay. And the show was over, and Eddie Kahn, the director, started to come over, and I just couldn't get out of my seat because the trauma hit me when the show was over. And I asked for a shot of whiskey. I've never had whiskey. I never had it then because I didn't touch it. I just felt that was the thing to say. And to this day, I don't drink whiskey. But I thought it was a smart thing to say. And it was a horrible experience. But that was live television. And it strengthened you. It made you strong. And that's why I'm so strong.
So how did you get offered the part in this film?
My dear husband and I, he was a director, and we were working in a play in, I think it was Pocono, somewhere in the East. And I just had the Oscar baby. I did not call him Oscar, believe me. I called him Daryl. But that same little baby that I had right after I received the Oscar. I had that baby, and I had my husband, and these two gentlemen from Hollywood heard that I was there, and they liked Waterfront, and they thought it'd be fun for me to do a comedy following Waterfront. So I went off and read the script while my husband entertained them, because they had flown in all the way from here to New York. And I finished, and I said, well, that could be fun. First of all, I had seen Bob Hope, I think, in every movie. My folks love movies, and we all the family went to see Bob Hope. So I said yes, like that. And it's not the greatest movie in the world, But it was fun, and I love making it. And to go from the actor studio with Lee Strasberg to Hollywood to make this crazy film was quite a leap. But
when you read a script, what do you look for?
well, it's a very personal reaction you have. You look for your character, how it's written, if it's an honest character that you could relate to or not relate to, but interesting. And the script generally, is it exciting or how it's supposed to be? It's the writing of the story and the characters that make a fine script. But it's always, oh, I have a terrible story though. North by Northwest, I just had another baby, and I was reading the script in bed, and I read it, and then I gave it to my husband to read. Being a director, he was very helpful, because I said, honey, I don't want to do this. I come in page 40. He said, honey, just let me read the script. It's with Hitchcock. And he read it, and then he knocked on the door and said, I said, come in, honey, do this. Just do North by Northwest. He was smarter than I, yes.
Did he often read your scripts?
Yes, and I would read his scripts too. He was the director, yeah. That's what you do in a happy marriage.
So since you were working mostly in New York before you made this film, how was it making a picture in Hollywood? Was it a different experience than working on the East Coast?
Oh, well, on the waterfront was one place, Hoboken, but I love that because that's where we were, in Hoboken. And all the people just were so happy when we arrived. And by the 6th week, they were ready for us to go. Because they had those lights outside all night. We were filming a lot at night. And, but it was a real, that house that I lived in the movie, that belonged to a newlywed couple. And after about the 3rd week, I thought, I'm so sad that I'm doing this in their apartment, and they should be here, and they should be starting their life together. Well, I got over that. my first scene was on the rooftop, where I give my brother's coat to Marlon Brando, and that was the first scene in a movie I'd ever made. And my dear, beautiful director, Kazan, was telling me, as I stood there before we started the scene, it was dark, Marlon was over there, and he said, now in this scene you are really terrified, and an animal could come any minute, he's whispering, could come any minute, and you just are so terrified, and that's how I want you to be when you go over to give the coat to this young man, because you don't know, you've never had an experience with a man before, a young man. And he's telling me all this, and I'm thinking, you don't have to say a word. I am so nervous. I never told him that. And I had seen him, and I saw him since. But that was the first scene, and after that, Kazan was just incredible to work with and work for, and Marlon Brando was dear, dear. My feeling is that Marlon was one of the finest actors we ever had. And I don't know, I didn't keep up with him, but I have a feeling he might have lost his love of acting. And I guess when that happens, you just stop, because he lived on a mountain, he became very isolated. And I just think he is, I have to tell the story why I think he is, from my experience. In Making on the Waterfront, Kazan would be directing one scene, but you were always working the next scene that was supposed to come up. So when he was lighting that scene, he would come and watch you wherever you were working, because you're next up for the scene. And it was a scene with with gloves, and the first time that I'm talking to this young man, I'm a very sheltered young woman. I haven't had the experience of knowing a man, the opposite sex. And so, in the scene, I had gloves on, and I take them off, and one dropped. And I started to get my glove, but Marlon, the actor, in character, put that on his hand in a very sensuous way. And it worked for the scene because I had to stay and talk with him to get my glove, because he didn't give it back. Right? Well, when Gadge came to see our scene, to see what we had done, he said, exactly the way you rehearsed it, the two of you, that's what I want to film. And I'm only telling you that because there have been about 10 renditions about that damn glove and what happened to it and why it happened. Did you know that story?
I think you told me.
Oh.
Sorry. But back to...
You're the only person in the whole wide world and all of you.
And all of you.
And I tell you, it's because very often it's been written about, and it's that it was direct, that it was written that way, but it wasn't written that way. But it shows how incredible actor that Marlon was. I'm convinced that any other actor would have picked it up and we'd start rehearsing and I'd take it back. And Kazan saw what the dropping of the glove did and said, that's what we do. And I'm going on and on because people have a completely wrong idea. And if you ever hear anybody start telling you the other way, you say, you know. You know.
Yeah. You got it right.
So now I can go.
I want to ask you, this is the first color film you've made. And
well, it's only the second movie. It's not like I made 100 this one.
Touche. And your clothes really told a great part of who your character is.
Exactly. Edith had she was such a lovely lady. I mean, she was so talented, but she's just an incredible person. And I had the first meeting with the producers, who also directed, and with Edith, and we had four of us had the meeting. And it was kind of over my head. It was only my second film, and I had never been in a kind of meeting that was going on. And the producers, directors, they left, and I was really kind of, it was too much for me to hear all this because I didn't understand a lot of the making this kind of movie. And after they left, Edith had said, Eva Marie. So I followed her and went into her office, and she said, now you and I are going to do this. We're going to decide the costumes and the clothes and all of that. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? And she said, I can tell from the way you sat in the meeting that you like full skirts. Well, I did, but I also like striped skirts. But so we did it together. I mean, not together. She, of course, designed everything. But I felt after that I could always go to her if I felt something about the costume was not right. But it was all right because she had designed it and she supervised the making of it. And she became kind of a friend after that. She's everything you thought she was.
What effect do you think the wardrobe can have on you as an actress and the character you're playing in the film?
Well, that's interesting. Wardrobe, I had one navy blue dress, one navy blue coat. And that was a long, long time
Two pair of
ago.
gloves.
Two what?
One pair of gloves.
Oh, God, they weren't navy.
Okay.
But as a result of that, to this day, I have never owned a piece of navy clothing. I mean, I overdosed on navy. But that was Edith on the waterfront. And I felt, as I look back, that maybe Hitchcock saw me in that certain feeling. I have to sing it because I sing it. I never met you. You'll hear it, see. And I had such fun making this movie. But I think Hitch might have seen me in this movie because I wear some beautiful clothes.
Now, up to this point in your career, this is one of the most physically demanding parts you've had.
Demanding part in a movie?
Yeah.
I'd only made one.
Well,
I made 50 and this 51st was really hard. What? Kidding you. You have a sense of humor. I know. I wouldn't go on like this if you didn't.
Well, no, I'm going to play straight man.
You play straight man.
But tell us about the sequence when you got to dance with Bob Hope.
Oh, that certain feeling. Yes, I danced with him in a funny costume, and he has the same costume, like it, on. And we're dancing, and I used to play the violin, but I'm playing the ukulele in this, and just the idea, you know, being fun. And one day, however, wasn't such fun. I was going across the table, because we were dancing on a table, and someone had polished it. And they weren't supposed to, and I'm dancing along, and don't laugh. It was tragic. I fell off the table. I landed on the floor. I hit my head, and I just remember saying, no photos, no photos, no photos. Someone told me that later, and I thought that is so crazy. It was only my second movie. Who did I think I was?
Now, other than your performance in the film, I thought one of the other really terrific performances was the performance of the television director in the movie. Do you know whatever happened to him?
That was my dear husband, doing a small little part. But it's such fun. Yeah. I don't think I can remember. He was playing a director, you know, behind the glass.
Right. I think we're ready to see the movie.
I'm going to watch with you, and my dear daughter is with me, Lorette, and because I really wanted to see it again and to relive all those moments. And the idea of Bob Hope, he loved to do a movie, and he loved to have people on the set. Well, on Waterfront, we didn't have that. Gags was very, he just was adamant about nobody being on the set that wasn't in the film. So the day I saw women come in with kind of lovely hats to watch us film, I thought this is never going to happen, because I can't work that way. I'm from the acting studio. Then I thought of something that Lee Strasberg said, that the actor is the instrument and the director is the conductor, and you do what you have to do. So I went in the next day, and I thought I was really happy to see all those ladies, because they didn't bother me one bit.
There we go. Eva Marie, well, I know you have an Academy Award, and I'm sure you have a fabulous award shelf or an award closet. And
yes, I do.
Have them hidden. I understand you have them hidden in your house. Is that true? Are they in plain sight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember when my children were little, and I read the Oscar, they would bring their friends from school over, you know, I always have something to eat for them. And they say, Mommy, could we show Roger your Oscar? I said, sure, come on. So they would come in, and then I'd give it to them, and they'd go like this. It is so heavy. And as I've gotten older, it's really heavy. I don't dust that as much.
Well, this one isn't quite as heavy, but this is the illustrious Cinecon Legacy Award. And we're honoring you for your years of entertaining us, and for also being such a warm and gentle and sweet lady. We're just thrilled to have you here today. We want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us for Cinecon 54. Congratulations on your Cinecon Legacy Award, and we're excited to see the movie with you, aren't we? Are we not?
Woo!
Bye, Al. Posting for Larry Lawson.
Oh, well, money's not important. If I took it at all, it'd be just for the experience, you know, to soak up the atmosphere. I mean, Cap's been practically breaking my door down, and I don't know whether it's the right thing for me. I don't know.
I must confide, I'm feeling that feeling too. Hey, you crazy or something? Come on, will you?
I haven't seen this Many people saw the movie. I mean, it wasn't, you know, I guess successful in a sense, but people loved Bob Hope, and he was so dear to work with. I mean, I fell in love with him, not really. I mean, he was just dear, and I love seeing it again, and I love having all of you see it